Okay, so let's see what we can do with the C chord. You say, well, wait a minute, Dan, you added another chord in there. I did, and that was the G chord. Okay, and that's the 5 in the key of C. So it's very common to go from a 1 chord, which is your tonic, that's the tonal center of the key of C, right? So C chord goes to a 3 minor, which is E minor, goes to the 5 chord, which is G. Okay, that's another very common progression, 1, 3, and 5. Let's see, what else can I give you as far as tips? Okay, here's one idea. When you're writing a song and you're coming up with your own riffs, right, or your own melodies or harmonies, let's say, for example, I'm writing something, and generally what I'll do is I'll try not to get too complicated right off the, right from the start. What I'll do is I'll use just 3 strings and see what I can come up with just in those 3 strings. So let's say I started with the strings 4, 5, and 6, and I'm just playing the I'm fretting the 2nd fret on the 4th and 5th strings, which is my E minor chord. So that would be the whole chord, but I'm just going to use the bottom 3 strings. Okay, just those 3 strings. Then I'm going to add the partial G to that. Like this would be on a full G chord. I'm just going to add the top or the bottom 3 strings. Okay, so let's see what that sounds like. How about if I added an F sharp in there as well? So maybe you don't know these note names, but the point I want to get across is that what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stay in this little area down here, right? So I'm going to play my E minor chord, then G, then I'm going to grab this note, which is the 2nd fret, and put all that together. So you see how I created an entire riff just basically with an E minor chord, the top, the bottom 3 strings of that chord, then G, and then an F sharp thing. You don't need to really know what that chord is, but just know that I'm just fretting this top string up here. I'm playing the other 2 open. Okay, how about on the, if I did that same thing but using an A minor chord? How about... all I did was transpose that same riff I just wrote in E minor to the key of A, and the way I did that was simply by moving, instead of playing on the 6th, 5th, and 4th strings, I'm now playing on the 5th, 4th, and 3rd strings. So I went from E minor to A minor. That's it. That's the only difference. What if I took a power chord, for example? Right? That's a simple B power chord. So that time I just said, okay, I'll take my power chord, and I wonder what other tonalities I can create or other harmonies I can create out of that. Took that B, and all I did was move down 1 fret, down another fret, but I'm keeping that B the whole time. So that's how you can just take a simple power chord, just start moving the notes around, and suddenly you're creating music. Okay, now what I want to do is just show you how some of the most simple songs, or some of the great rock and roll songs, right, are made of just a couple of chords, and how you can write your own riffs and your own songs. And of course, I've got my distortion going on my guitar. And I just want to show you, for example, one song that you may recognize. Right, that's the opening riff of a very famous heavy metal song. And let's look at it for a second. I mean, basically, it's just a few notes. Okay, you've got an E string. You've got this note, and the A. So it's 4 notes. The beginning is just 4 notes put together in a certain rhythm. Okay, so all I'm doing is sliding up, and then that's it. Just 4 notes, okay? And the other notes basically are a G power chord, F sharp power chord, and an E minor power chord put together in a certain way. So basically we have 4 notes in the opening riff, and then when it goes into this little, all it is 3 chords, G, F sharp, and E, put together in a certain rhythm. Now, I'm not going to teach you that song, but I just want to point out that that's a very famous song, and it's only, basically 3 or 4 or 5 notes, okay? So you can write your own music with very simple chords. And let me give you another example. Right, that's a Nirvana song. They sold about a zillion records off that one song, and it's the riff is 4 chords. It's 4 power chords. It's that simple. It's an E chord, right? A, G, all the way up to this, up to C. So the idea is that you can take very simple progressions, especially just power chords, which are just 2 notes, and you create entire songs from it.